Hey guys, today I'm gonna make a really short video. This is just something I want to do about one of the reasons I like to read the King James Bible. Now, I want to preface this right off the bat. I don't care which Bible you read. I'm not saying only read the KJV. I'm not saying read one particular the other Bible. I'm only doing this to show you one little reason why I like the KJV, because with some of the newer versions you kind of miss small details that come out in the KJV, and I firmly believe in using multiple sources. I don't believe in just trying to go by one particular thing, because I love the KJV, but there's some verses that's hard for me to understand, and I have to go to one of the newer versions to see what it's actually saying there, just because of the way it's worded. Now, most people don't know that the KJV, it's got archaic language, but they don't realize is that the KJV, the actual language used here, was actually even more, it's even older than what we think, because the language used during this translation was actually not the language that was spoken then. In fact, they had to go deeper into the history of the English language to make the KJV. And what we're going to go over today is one of those reasons they had to do this. So we're going to look in John 3, and we're just going to go through a quick succession. I'll read in the NIV, and then I'm going to read in the KJV. And we're going to see a small detail that's going to pop out that it's be easy to overlook. Okay, so John chapter 3. This is the NIV. Now there was a man of the Pharisees named Nicodemus, a member of the Jewish ruling council. He came to Jesus at night and said, "Rabbi, we know you are a teacher who has come from God, for no one can perform the miraculous things you are doing if God were not with him." Okay, so Nicodemus comes to Jesus at night. Most people kind of see this as in him coming in at night so that he is not seen by many of the other rulers in the synagogue. That is probably one of the best exegesis of this, but it's also known that during this time period is that a lot of the rabbinical Jews would actually go and study the Torah and the law right at night, at dusk and stuff. So it could have been twofold. So, and then continuing in verse 3, so in reply Jesus declared, "I tell you the truth, no one can see the kingdom of God unless he is born again." And then Nicodemus says, "How can a man be born when he is old?" he asked. "Surely he cannot enter a second time in the mother's womb to be born." Jesus answered, "I tell you the truth, no one can enter the kingdom of God unless he is born of water and the Spirit. Flesh gives birth to flesh, the Spirit gives birth to spirit." Now this is just Jesus explaining how we must be born again. When you put your faith and truth and heart and everything, all your being into Jesus Christ, you are born again through the Spirit. The old man passes away, and you are quickened by the Spirit, made alive through the Spirit. "You should not be surprised at my saying, 'You must be born again.'" Okay, here's what we're going to hit on. "The wind blows where it pleases. You hear its sound, but you cannot tell where it comes from or where it is going. So it is with everyone born of the Spirit." Now, Jesus says in the middle of verse 7, "You must be born again." Now let's step back and let's look at the context. So Nicodemus comes to Jesus at night. Who is there? From what we just read, all we know is that it's Jesus and Nicodemus. That's the only two people that we know is there. Because it says in the middle of verse 7, "You must be born again." Now, let's go to the KJV. And I'm just going to skip down to verse 7. "Marvel not that I said unto thee, ye must be born again." So, why is this significant? Because ye is plural. You, in our language today, can be singular or it can be plural. You really don't know unless you study the context or study the context really well. Well, guess what? When we looked at it, we don't know that there's other people there. But in the Greek language, that the Koine Greek that the New Testament was written in, it actually explains that it actually uses plural and singular forms. Now in the our modern translations we use you, even though you can't really tell if it's a singular or plural form. The King James Version, that is why they had to go even further back into the English language to find where they had still used ye and thou. Now in the KJV, everything when it starts with a Y is plural. Everything that starts with a T, like thou, thee, is singular. They did this to match the actual Greek translations. See, our new versions, we kind of miss out on that, because if we had just gone by the NIV, we wouldn't know that there was actually multiple people there. But the KJV, Jesus says, ye must be born again. So in all likelihood, he's sitting there talking to Nicodemus, and with this statement, it says, marvel not that I said unto thee, that's you, don't to Nicodemus, ye must be born again. See? So he uses this as a teaching moment for everybody there. So it was probably him and his disciples with Nicodemus. And I just wanted to bring this, let y'all see this, because it's just an interesting additive. It gives you more context. And that's one of the reasons I like the KJV. And but please, don't think I'm telling you not to use the new translations. I use them all. But I just thought this was interesting, and hopefully in this video, I've got some new software I'm able to try to use on my phone. So hopefully the text would be on the phone for y'all to be able to see and follow along, and I hope that it works out okay. But thank you guys so much for listening. God bless.